What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Why We Love PlayStation VR. Sitting across from me this week, and only this week, it's Game Cat Extraordinaire, Mikey Sensei.
Hey. Sorry. And sitting to my left, your right, is Brian Ball.
Oh, this is a retro intro. I like that. Good stuff.
It is. I have to bring it back.
And every week on Why We Love PlayStation VR, we dip into the PSVR archives. We blow the dust off of an old PlayStation VR game. We check into it, see if it's been getting loved by developers, any updates, any DLC, any patches, any new nicknames, any love. And then we tell you, over the course of a very long episode, whether it's worth your time. That being said, Mikey, what game did we decide to play this week?
Robinson The Journey.
Robinson The Journey by Crytek, released November 8th, 2016 for $59.99. Like the $60 game. We didn't get a lot of those at launch.
No, it was way too steep of a price for that time, but some people went with it and were rewarded accordingly.
That's very, very true. So, that being said, what kind of game is Robinson The Journey?
I'd say Robinson The Journey is pretty much like a walking simulator with added elements of gameplay, puzzle, most part, and exploration.
Exploration. I wrote down exploration adventure. I went way simple.
Adventure as well. There's a lot of adventure, especially if you stick around for the whole ride.
That's right. In general, you're playing as a young boy named Robin.
Yeah.
And your big spacecraft has exploded over some unknown planet. Seems like it's been just totally covered with dinosaurs.
Yeah. Overrun, if I might add.
Overrun with dinosaurs. I'm not a dinosaur person. Like, I know a lot of kids growing up were like dinosaur crazies wearing Jurassic Park shirt, if anyone wasn't paying attention. And so, like, you know, so I'm like walking around this place. I'm going, oh, these look like real dinosaurs. But then I'm like, oh, wait, this is a planet out in space. Like, this is not Earth, even though it looks like our jungles and stuff. Did you notice if all of the dinosaurs are like real dinosaurs, or did they make some up for the game?
They were all real dinosaurs, having been a dino geek from a very young age.
This is what I was hoping.
Yes. Yeah. Dino Books all the way, man. I don't know if anybody remembers Dino Books. It's a subscription book service that was every episode would focus on a specific dinosaur. And yeah, I'm a nerd. What do you want, man?
So they're books, or are they magazines? What were they?
They're magazines, but they're put like they're written like books, but they're soft cover and pliable because kids.
Because kids.
Yeah.
All right. You're the only survivor, as far as you know, on this planet. Starting off, you've got this little craft that you seem to be living in. Mm. The door's open. It seems like the game takes place a year after you've crashed. It gives you a little glimpse into meeting your pet dinosaur, Laika, right? And then it says 3 months later, and then your little robot companion, whose name is Higgs.
Yes.
Why? Let me ask you. Why, in every VR game, do we need a constant companion?
I feel maybe they think everybody's a first timer and doesn't know how to play games, and
maybe
adds that added element of help so that you don't feel like you have to take your headset off and ask the person that put you in there in the first place how to get through it.
So it's like a tutorial.
It is like a tutorial, but this one was an ongoing tutorial.
Okay, a little Portal inspired, it seems.
Yeah.
Big floating sphere.
Big, especially in the headset.
Yeah.
Really big.
Yeah. And sometimes you turn around and it's right there and you're like, oh.
Yeah, it's startling. It adds a bit of a horror element to it.
Accidentally.
You kind of think it's going to go the way of Dino Crisis at one point, but it doesn't.
Ooh, that would have been nice.
That would have been nice.
Can we get some Dino Crisis VR, please,
Come
Capcom?
on, Capcom, you cowards.
Use that RE engine for something good.
Yeah.
Come on. Yeah, this is so you've got Higgs and you've got Laika, and so at the beginning you're very much not really alone.
Yeah.
But the door opens, and you as the player are experiencing this world for the first time, and it's kind of impressive. Mm-hmm. Right? It's like it looks very much like Earth, looks like jungles and all sorts of stuff, but like out in the distance you see like the remnants of your crashed spaceship, and like that's everywhere. Everywhere you look, these crashed spaceship parts.
A lot of them, which you will be using later in puzzles.
Yes. Puzzles. Oh man, I can't wait to talk about those.
Those are fun.
Yeah.
Ish.
But what I really like about this though, like, but when you first walk into the jungle, it gives you this sense that it's not like an open world, but the areas seem like big and vast. You're constrained to these paths and stuff, but you feel like it's kind of like this kind of big open area.
I believe it sells the point on environment and atmosphere when it comes to creatures you're going to encounter that are freaking huge.
Yeah.
So it'd be a little silly to have like small confined areas that are going to contain dinosaurs. So it complements itself, and also it's a nice, overwhelming. This is awesome looking when you first open that door.
Absolutely. Yeah. So once you're out and walking around and checking out the place, there's some stuff to do, right? Like the first thing that caught my eye. I'm a collector. I love my collectathoning in all games. So the first thing that I was super excited about was every time you see like a new little bit of wildlife, like insects or dinosaurs or whatever, you're able to use a scanning device and scan. It's I would call it a mini game, I guess, because on the body of the things you're scanning are green dots and red dots.
Yeah.
And you just kind of scan the green dots, don't scan the red dots. You have to start over, and then suddenly that thing is added to your Pokédex.
A Pokédex. That's a great way to put it.
Or your Dino Dex.
Dino Dex. Yeah,
it might be.
It is an odd mini game, but at the end of the day, you do have it collects information for your encyclopedia of sorts, where you get more information on the animals that live there. It's really, really cool. Some of them are really hard to get because of the 3-dimension aspect of it, depending on where you're standing from. Yeah. You can't get all the dots, so you kind of have to maneuver your body around and try to get the dots on the tail, because that's always fun.
Yeah, or if there's a whole section where there's a tar pit, and so some of the dinosaurs are like submerged partially in tar, and you have to get them to move to like see the other dots.
I remember that section being a little bit trying as well, with like the environment, working around the environment and trying to get the brontosauruses were in that section. So there's a lot of scanning. And I think the tar pit is also when I discovered that like this game can be a little bit tedious. So why don't you tell me about the other things we're doing in this game other than scanning dinosaurs? Climbing was one of my favorite things.
Are you being sarcastic?
I'm not, in a way. I am sort of sarcastic in the fact that it could have used move controllers.
Which is, I mean, right off the bat, if you're looking gameplay footage here, your character's holding something
that looks like it resembles a move controller right away.
Totally. You have to figure at some point this game was supposed to support the move controller.
For me, that was a bit of a detachment, because going into this game and seeing gameplay footage, I thought there would be move controllers involved.
Yeah.
But it was DualShock only. And so you're moving the DualShock around. It's kind of attached to the side of your face. And that's what you use to scan. So you're pretty much using your face to scan everything, which makes the scanning aspect with the dots a little bit more difficult. You get used to it after first or second scan or so.
Yeah.
But move controllers would have been nice, because the climbing makes it awkward when you have to use your face to apply where you're climbing.
Yeah. You're basically alternating between L2 and R2 to control your right hand and left hand. But even then, like you're looking to where you want your hand to grab. It's not intuitive.
It's not.
And we've talked a lot about, in fact, on this week's episode of Viewer Takeover, we'll actually talk about immersion and climbing and how that all feels. This I thought was kind of fun, but definitely not immersive. Like I think it kind of killed the immersion to have to be like, L2, R2, L2, R2. L2.
Yeah, it was kind of like the two sides of your brain talking to each other at the same time just to climb up a 50-foot wall or tree or whatever.
And there's a lot of climbing.
Yeah.
It's not just like, oh, here's the climbing segment. It's like everywhere.
And don't get me wrong, it looks great. It looks great in the headset when you're climbing. You could look down, you get that sense of vertigo. The graphics, which is an area that we should definitely tackle, sell it. It sells the climbing. It sells the dinosaurs. It sells pretty much every aspect of that game, and that's one of the most impressive aspects of this game for me.
Yeah, as far as graphics go, I remember I was doing a complete playthrough of Here They Lie recently, and I couldn't stop raving about the graphics. I was like, oh man, I don't remember it being this good. Maybe the last time I played it wasn't on the Pro or hadn't been Pro patched yet or whatever the deal was. But man, Here They Lie I think is one of like the best looking, at least games stylistically on PSVR, and I think Robinson is right up there in like the top 5 as far as graphic fidelity goes.
Yeah. I agree. I totally agree with that statement.
Top 5 graphics on PlayStation VR. The list is coming soon.
Start it now.
Although I think you now know 2 of the 5, so it's going to be less than exciting to watch.
Well, you got to guess the other 3. I mean, stick around for the 3. They'll probably be even more exciting.
Yeah, so. Resident Evil 7's on there too. So now there's only 2 that you have to guess.
Especially anti-foveated rendering.
Yes. Very much so.
Very much.
So we're climbing a lot.
We're also exploring different paths. And the way that the layout is made for your exploration is pretty intuitive because it doesn't get you lost.
Right.
It is kind of on rails. I mean, as far as being structured, going a specific direction, it's not open world. but it is very well thought out. It's mapped out really well. For me, I thought it was really cool.
No, I totally agree. It's one of those things where it's not on rails. To me means like Final Fantasy 13. You're just always moving down this corridor forward. But you can go back to wherever you want to, wherever you've previously explored. But yeah, the game is always telling you should be going this way.
Yep.
If you haven't explored an area yet, that's probably where you should be.
Yeah.
I still found myself getting lost.
plenty of forks in the road.
Yeah.
Especially when you get to the section where there's zip lines.
The zip lining part, I was actually playing a little bit today, just to kind of get myself caught up, and I was playing with the zip lines. So motorcycle on our end. It's not a siren, but it's close.
It's close enough.
Yeah.
To hear.
Yeah. And the zip lining got me because not only were you zip lining around, but then there was like you were just climbing from place to place and then climbing more and then climbing more and then climbing down and then climbing up. And I was like, I think I just went in a circle. I actually ended up at the same zip line going back down. I was like, I just did this. I went in an entire circle. I have no idea how I did it. And then I finally found my path. I was like, I don't even actually know how I corrected it this time.
I think this is one of the times I could say getting lost was fun.
And that's the thing. I totally agree with you because getting lost in Robinson is fun because there's, again, plenty of things to collect for your Pokedex, and it's just beautiful. It's just fun to just walk around and look at stuff.
A lot of real weird insects always trying to fly in your face. That's always fun too.
Yeah, and in the zip lining, I know we're like all over the place right now, but as far as zip lining goes, sometimes there are these things hanging down, like these bushels, and if you don't move your head to avoid them, like you get hit, and if you get hit by too many, you just fall. So move your head.
It's actually pretty comical though when it happens.
Yeah. I fell off zip lines many times. Sometimes you have to drop from one zip line to another.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot about those.
And doing that can be such a hassle. It took me like 5 times to get it right today. I was just like, I dropped. I thought I hit my L2 and R2 and just missed it. Fell right to my death. Luckily, the checkpoint for that was very, very close by. I could just do it over and over. But some of the checkpoints in this game are not where I thought they'd be.
No.
It's like you die and then like you're like, oh, I'm like 10 minutes back.
Yeah.
It's a little inconvenient.
Well, it also deterred me at times when you would respawn somewhere else. I'd be like, well, I was meaning to go this alternate direction anyway, so you would take that alternate direction and find something else cool. I think that's one of the big selling points of this game is the exploration aspect of it, being in that world. The world feels lived in. The world feels real. The depth perception is crazy.
Yes.
Details and background are crazy. It's awesome exploring, even if you get lost, is what I mean to say by that.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. There's I think 2 types of puzzles in this game. One, environmental puzzles. You walk into an area, the tar pit again. This is when I first got frustrated. That's why I'm going to keep bringing it up, because there's like planks. There are boards that you need to kind of use your device to lift the boards and put them down where you need them to be.
Yeah.
Sometimes collision detection isn't how it should be. And so sometimes you're putting the boards down where you think they go, and then they sink right into the tar, and then you have to wait for them to respawn.
To respawn in the original spot. Yeah, I thought I was the only one that was having that problem. I thought I was just dropping them wrong, or this would have been solved with move controllers. I'm just saying, more
it would
precision.
have been at least easier with move controllers.
Yeah. I'm surprised they never patched it, to be honest with you. Like, they should have patched it at one point or another.
Yeah, this is a big concern. I think everybody expected it to be patched with move controls, and it just never happened. So, and at this point, it's not going to.
Yeah.
So,
I'm sorry.
Well, and there's another kind of puzzle. So, like, you get the environmental ones where you walk around the environment, and you like do what needs to be done, but then there's these separate things that feel like they were just shoehorned into the game, which drive me insane. And I think they're all electricity based.
Yeah, and in God mode, much less.
And it's cool.
It is cool
to look into God mode where you see your character and he's this big, and then you kind of see the whole world around you. And you're like, wow.
It kind of looks like a playset when you're a kid and you had like a diorama like type of playset, and you had your little figurine in this one spot. Your character is the only time actually you can see your character in the whole game.
Yeah.
And it's like pulled back into God view, and you got the little figurine. You got to look at there's electricity wires, are they, or circuits? You would say.
Yeah, I would say that sounds right. Let's go with wires.
We'll go with wires. All right. So you got to figure out how to connect the electricity to progress forward within the game.
And it's all like mathematical. It's
managing power supply.
Yeah, it's not like Pipe Dream or anything where you're just like rotating blocks and getting
that's awesome.
The flow to the end. You're actually, like it says, okay, you have 60 power here, but you only need 30 down here, and you need to start dividing the power each way and splitting it off until the one that connects to the end is only 30 in here.
Yeah, I hate math.
Well, I don't mind the math, and that's the thing is some of these are super easy, and you do them on the first try, and you're like, oh, that was dumb. And then some of them are like, oh, okay, this took a little more thought. And then I think, again, the tar pit, I just stood there for like an hour going, I'm just doing things randomly because at this point, like, it's too complicated for me to actually do the math, and it'll take me less time to just try random numbers or try random paths and see if it works. And that was super duper frustrating. Like that there, I could see people just going, I don't want to do this anymore, and just give up.
It's funny that you mentioned that because around that section and that puzzle, that's when I almost gave up. I almost quit the game. As much as I really loved where I was at, I loved the environment. I was tired of hearing the bubbling tar. I was tired of seeing the brontosauruses sitting there. I'm like, I just want to move past this section.
Right.
And that part did cause a little bit of struggle to get through it, but I stuck with it. I'm glad I did, though, at the end of the day.
Now, this is, I think Robinson has a special place in PSVR history. It goes down with, I want to say maybe Riggs and Drive Club, and Here They Lie, as games that will test your motion sickness, your VR legs, and see if you're able to play games with full locomotion. This game does not have the option to teleport, which is fascinating to me. Yeah. Because it's an exploration game. You would think, again, it would be better with move controls, that you just point at an area and go, oh, I just want to be there. Boom, 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 pop around. So if you have motion sickness, you could do that. This doesn't have that at all. And a lot of people, when they played this at launch, especially on their OG PS4s, got kind of woozy. Did you have that experience at all?
Not at all.
Not at all?
Not at all. I had no wooziness whatsoever. My theory on the lack of teleportation, I think, is pacing, because everything's kind of mapped out story-wise and pacing-wise, and they don't want you jumping around all over the place. I think they wanted you to really take in the environment. Okay. Because he does walk slow.
Does walk pretty slow.
So
I've seen reviews where they just where they say it's awful and just unbearable. I'm like, it's not unbearable.
It's not unbearable. We played small. What was that recent game that came out that was on the Mars and you're walking around as open worlds? And
Mars Alive.
Yeah.
That's much slower.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he's a grown adult. No excuse.
No excuse.
Nope.
Longer legs.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm okay. I'm okay with the slow pace of this game. I'm okay not having teleportation. But I will say, I think you said that the first time you played this game, you said you waited to play it until you got a PlayStation 4 Pro.
Yeah.
And I think that might be the difference, because I know when I tried this, the day it came out, my stomach went, ooh. And
really?
And I don't get motion sickness almost ever for no good reason, right? But man, I do remember, I was still able to play it, but I remember my stomach going, oh, this doesn't feel quite right.
That's interesting. I didn't think that would play a part in it.
And then when I tried it again on the Pro, and again, we're talking a full year later, so I might have gotten my VR legs, or it could just be that the Pro is able to render things at a higher frame rate, higher refresh rate, and I think that's what plays a part in most people's motion sickness more than anything else. Yeah, and it does look a lot better graphically than it does on the OG. If you've got the original PlayStation 4, don't hold it back. It's not something that it's not. It is, I would say, night and day. I think it's beautiful on Pro, and it's only good looking on PS4 proper. But yeah, I wouldn't hold back just because of that.
Yeah, that was my. It was kind of a gift to myself for trading my old OG PS4 in for a Pro, and reading up on it and hearing that there was a major difference in graphic fidelity for that game in the Pro. I waited. So when I traded it in, that was the first game I tried it on, and was mind blown from the beginning.
I should have traded my PlayStation 4 in. I always
kept your OG?
I kept it because I always said, well, I need to be able to review games on both and see how they look. I just find myself never going back to it.
That's a lot. That's double time.
Yeah. Oh, and setting things up, that whole breakout box and all the wires and everything, and having to disconnect things. And, oh, no way. Yeah. So this game, since launch, as said, has been patched with Pro support. Definitely some bug fixes. I checked the patch notes today. It didn't seem like anything major. But the big change since launch is that it's no longer $60. In fact, I checked on PlayStation, or is it PSPrices.com? Shout out to Pukistan, who said I should be checking the site more often. PSPrices.com informed me that it launched at $60. And that was November 8th, 2016. Yep. But a few short months later, on March 14th, 2017, so 5 months later, it dropped to $50. And then just this year, on February 19th, it dropped to $30. So, with all that information in mind, I think it's time we rate this sucker.
All right. Sounds great.
All right, for those unfamiliar with our rating scale, I'm going to take it this time because Dez is not here, and I don't want to put Mikey on the spot. We rate games in 3 ways. We say 1 is a must-have. This is a game that every PlayStation VR gamer should have in their library. It's just top of the crop. That's not a thing.
Or top of the pops.
Top of the pops. I like that better. Definitely go forth and buy. You will love it. 2, it's okay. We're not going to make fun of you for buying it. If it's in a genre you like, or it just seems like a game that you're particularly interested in, you'll probably like it. So, maybe grab it on sale. 3, this is not at all what Des says, by the way. 3, 3 is stay far away. This is. There are very few people who are going to enjoy this. It is very much not something you need to be playing or wasting your time or money on. We should not reward these developers. Do not give them your money.
And friends don't let friends buy crap.
That is what he says. Mm-hmm. I'm so glad somebody's watching this show. I had never watched this. So, with all those in mind, what are you going to rate this game?
Okay. If I could give a little backstory.
Ooh, backstory. I'm gonna drink some coffee.
Yeah, have some coffee.
Yes, exclamation point coffee.
Having come from a childhood where I was completely interested in dinosaurs, this seemed like the perfect marriage of an experience of having this in VR. Kind of putting yourself in a situation that's impossible, that's never going to happen, but you're fascinated by. Me and my dad have a history. We love dinosaurs. We studied them together ever since Steven Spielberg's Jurassic Park. We've that's been our bonding point. It's kind of like when dad's watching Indiana Jones with your kids. For me, it was dinosaurs. For you, it's golf.
For me, it's Star Trek Next Generation.
Or Star Trek Next Generation as well. And with that being said, 3/4 of the way through this game gave me that exact same feeling that I got going to the theater and and experiencing that segment and the tense segment of that kitchen scene in Jurassic Park, and without giving any spoilers.
Yes.
So at the end of the day, when I was done with that game, I took a breath and I was like, you know what, that was worth the slog at this slog at points, as we mentioned earlier. But it was great. It was a great experience for me. I understand it's not for everybody. So with that being said, it's a strong 2. Strong 2. Very, very strong 2, because there's so much good production value put into this game. Crytek is a company that should continue to make VR games. I'm looking forward to if they are putting out another VR game. And that is where I'm coming from with my perspective on it.
Yeah, Crytek, let us know what's going on, man. You guys have an amazing engine that should be utilized.
Yes.
It's at least as good as the RE engine. So, yeah, definitely like to see more from that.
Or sell it.
Yeah. License that thing out, man. Everyone could use it. Tell Lloyd in the basement that like the flick switching just got a lot easier. The switch flicking. It's the switch
flick
flicking.
Switch.
Yeah, it's not. That's not what we say. So I'm gonna give this game a slightly different rating. I got this game on day one, so I apparently spent $60 on it. I only remember it being $50, but maybe there was an Amazon discount. But I got the physical copy in the mail, release day. Couldn't be more excited. The trailers were very misleading because they didn't show any gameplay.
Nope.
And I was like, there's no way this game is gonna be even remotely close to what they're showing in the trailers. But I don't care, because I'm in love with PlayStation VR and I need to see what this whole dinosaur adventure is all about. Mm. And from the word go, I was fascinated. I stepped out of that little pod. Or before I even stepped out of the pod, I looked around and saw you could see that this kid was living in here for a year, and it looked like a place a kid would be living in for a year. Mm-hmm. A smart kid. He had science experiments and stuff going on. It wasn't my kind of room, just littered with video games. And then you step outside, and it's just this massive world, and it just looks stunning. And it's one of those. I think it's one of those examples where you can forgive some poor gameplay because the experience of it is just that good.
Yeah.
And I hate those electricity puzzles, and I hated moving the planks around the swamp. And I know some of you are going to get motion sick from this. Still, I like this game so much. And every time I play it, I go, why isn't this on our top 20 list? Why am I not fighting for this to be on our top 20 list? That I have to give this. It's going to be a weak one because it's not going to be for everybody. But if I'm rating this for myself and how much I enjoyed my time with it, it's absolutely one. It needs to be in my collection. If you don't suffer from motion sickness, I say absolutely give it a shot at the $30 price point. If it was 60, I'd be like, okay, absolutely a 2.
Mm-hmm.
But for $30, man, there's definitely some $30 games on the PlayStation Store that do not deserve your money. This, however,
not one of them.
Is not one of those games.
Yeah.
We always want to know what you thought of the games that we've been talking about. Let us know in the comments below what you thought of Robinson the Journey. Did you play it at launch? Did you play it on the OG? Did you play it on the Pro? Did you beat the game? Because, man, it does get better later on.
It really does, guys. I mean, verge of a 1 here. I almost said 1 too. I was just thinking about everybody else. That's usually what I do.
Stop doing that. Yeah. they don't care. And make sure you let us know what games you want us to play. The list is long. It gets longer every single week. And if you want to know a little bit more about this guy and Mikey Sensei and why he's here on the show, then make sure you tune in to Viewer Takeover, which may air before or after this. I have no idea. We're totally off schedule.
We like bending time.
So tune into that and learn a little bit more about the OG Game Cat sitting here next to me. For another episode of Why We Left PlayStation VR, I'm Brian Paul.
Mikey Sensei.
We'll see you next week.